Annuities are one of the more talked about retirement vehicles out there. And so in this video, I wanted to break down the 4 reasons and the 4 things you should consider before buying or purchasing an annuity. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Financial Beat. If this is your first time, thanks for joining us. This channel here is all about retirement education, and we're going to do just that today. I wanted to talk about one of the more common investments out there, especially when it comes time for retirement. You don't hear a lot about these when you go to an advisor in your early years most of the time. And the reason is a lot of the times they could be geared more specifically to retirement. Now, annuities can be purchased when you're younger, and there's some different ones out there that might be, good in certain situations when you're younger. But again, most of the time, I would say they're more used or thought of as a retirement vehicle. Now, I am an advisor, right? So I work with retirement planning, and that's what we do. So I specialize in this area, and I help a lot of people get to and through retirement. So I have these conversations all the time with clients, and I wanted to make sure we brought this here to you because, again, I know it's a very talked about investment tool out there, especially when you get the volatility in markets. You always hear this come up a little bit more. So I wanted to talk about the 4 things you should be considering before you purchase or decide to use an annuity in the portfolio. Okay. So again, not recommending annuities or not saying they're bad or any of that stuff, just trying to give you some general education and some things you should be thinking about beforehand. Number one, first thing I would think about before purchasing an annuity is what type of annuity is it, right? I always tell people that all annuities are not the same, right? Just like all stocks aren't the same, all mutual funds aren't the same, all bonds aren't the same. You want to make sure you look at what type of an annuity am I buying? Now, I've done some videos on this in the past on this channel. You could check it out on annuities and the different types of annuities. So really, there's a few different types, but the 3 major ones out there that are used, you have fixed annuity, which is basically like a CD. Essentially, you put it in for 3, 4, or 5 years, and they give you a guaranteed rate of return. You have the fixed index annuity, which is a good one for clients that might want a little bit higher upside potential during good market years, but they don't want to participate in the downside of the market. Those can be principal protected, meaning if the market goes up, you can make money based off of the market up to a certain extent, either a cap rate or a participation rate. But if the market experiences volatility, you could actually be safe from the downside of the market, right? So those are 2 very popular ones. The third one out there is a variable annuity. Now, how those work is you're going to be putting your money into essentially mutual funds. You get to pick your risk tolerance and all that. And essentially you're in the market. So there is some, variations there as far as volatility. You can lose money in a variable annuity due to market fluctuation. Okay, again, based off risk and what you put in that variable annuity and what mutual fund you're buying. But that's the number one deciding factor. Some clients always say, "Hey, Logan, I met with an advisor the other day, and they told me I should be purchasing an annuity. Do you like annuities?" And I always say that it just really depends on why you're purchasing the annuity, as well as what type of an annuity is it. Okay, so make sure you're very clear on what type of an annuity that you're purchasing. That would be number 1. Number 2 is, what is the goal of purchasing the annuity? Why are you purchasing the annuity? What's the goal of the money going in there? Right? This might sound crazy, but you want to make sure it fits the goal. Is it for safety? Right? A lot of people purchase annuities because they're tired of all of their money fluctuating in the market. So they buy a piece of the portfolio. If they got $1 million, they might put a couple $100,000 in an annuity for safety, right? That could be a reason for it. Another one is income. A lot of annuities out there nowadays, and for the last few years, have been able to provide very good income. If you put money in there, a lot of those will pay out like an income from a pension. So it's a guaranteed amount. Sometimes you could do a joint payout, meaning it'll last for both you and your spouse's life. Some of them even have increasing payouts where they'll adjust kind of like based off inflation. So that could be a reason. The other big reason too is maybe a bond alternative. A lot of people I've been meeting with, you're in bond funds and they just haven't been performing like we would like them to over the last, 3, 4, 5, some of them even 10 years. So annuities could be a good bond alternative too. But essentially you kind of want to make sure, why am I purchasing this, right? Is it for pension income? Is it for safety? How does it fit right into the portfolio? And what's the goal for it would be number 2. Number 3, you got to consider the time frame, right? A lot of annuities, I always tell people, if you have $100,000 you want to put in safe money, but you're going to need it in 3 months, an annuity is typically not the right spot for that, right? You want to make sure when you're putting money into an annuity contract, it's typically a long-term contract. A lot of people say, man, I can't believe people put money into an annuity for a 10-year contract. Well, honestly, a lot of the times it's not a problem if it's a proper fit for clients, meaning that they're using it for guaranteed income or portfolio safety, right? They have a whole portfolio full of other assets and they're just kind of using that as their safe money. Again, they're not planning on touching all of the money within that time frame, then it's okay. But it is something that a lot of clients I hear about or talk to, they haven't considered the time frame in there. Again, it could be totally fine for a lot of people, but for some people that time frame might be too long and might not fit in the portfolio. So you want to make sure you're considering the overall time frame on that. The next one is, I would say number 4, which might be probably the most important one out there, is how does this fit into your overall plan? Right? I always tell people you don't want to just buy something just to buy it, but how does it fit? Again, we're a full service firm, so I'm a big believer in looking at a comprehensive approach when it comes to retirement planning. And you want to make sure looking at your overall assets, right? You got stocks, you got bonds, you got mutual funds, you have Social Security, you might have pensions, you got real estate, all of these different things, you have cash, right? They all serve a purpose in a retirement plan. And no different than an annuity, you want to make sure it fits into your goals and needs. Again, most of the time clients where we're using an annuity as part of the portfolio is to provide safety, is to provide a decent rate of return or a guaranteed rate of return on some of the annuities, or the chance for a pension payout type of income, right? Or a bond alternative. So you want to make sure, again, that it fits into that overall portfolio and that you've considered kind of these 4 things, because again, I think annuities can be a very useful tool into some people's retirement plan. I don't think everybody in the world needs an annuity, but I do think they can fit into a certain plan if it's trying to accomplish one of those objectives that I was just kind of discussing on. So hopefully this gave you some good insight on annuities. And again, we've done another video on annuities, and I'll probably do a few more on them just because there's a lot of confusion out there on them, as well as it's really good to kind of, again, just spread the word and educate people on different tools and services out there. If you haven't yet, go ahead and check out our other videos. We have a bunch on here going over a whole lot of different topics on retirement planning and different strategies and tools to use. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we'll be back here next week with another video on the Financial Beat. Have a great day.